In the minor circuit, you learn the mechanics of Super Punch-Out, how to dodge, block, alternate your punches, and dish out supers with reckless abandon. In the major circuit, you learn the ways your opponents might mess with your rhythm, that their unique moves might be a little bit unfair to deal with, but ultimately how to dish out damage effectively. In the world circuit, you learned how your opponents combine their various attacks into lethal combinations, overwhelming you with new and interesting barrages before you've gotten your bearings. In the special circuit, you will learn naught but humility and the taste of the canvas as many times as it takes. Super Punch-Out is done letting you play the game. You may have once been the quickest and the smartest, but the foes in the special circuit are not interested in playing by any sorts of rules to give you a chance. This was the sacred domain the likes of only Mike Tyson had walked before. But the 4 fighters to follow in his footsteps aren't interested in being the next Tyson. Each opponent isn't designed to be an impossible challenge. None of them are nearly as quick on the draw or as powerful as Iron Mike. But they will ruin ya. Every foe has multiple tricks, multiple combinations, multiple ways to make you regret ever even tossing out a punch, and different ways to twist your timing and wonder, what do I even do? And their assaults are relentless, destroying your super meter in half seconds and leaving the idea of a comeback as a pitiful dream. The special circuit is a reward for your skill in mastering the game's base mechanics and ideas, and it intends to break you. We've got some work ahead of us in order to lock up this final championship. But come on, we made it this far. What's 4 more rounds? Wipe that sweat off your brow, kid. There's no time to slow down. We've got history to make.
Narcis Prince.
Imagine having the most punchable face in the world. Now imagine you trained your body and mind specifically to counter and destroy anyone looking to punch it.
Gutter trash.
That is the reality of Narcis Prince. Sporting a sweater vest emblazoned with a V for the victory he's sure he's already guaranteed against you, a holier-than-thou smirk, this chill animation every time he knocks you down, and just the worst laugh. Oh, he has just the most breakable nose if he'd let me get to it. Narcis has perhaps the tightest guard in the entire game, deflecting every single shot aimed at his precious visage, and often responding in turn with very quick shots. Even when you manage to sneak in a body blow, the upper crust is simply too thick to be phased for very long, Narcis not allowing you a moment to follow up. Try to extend your lead even a slight amount rather than peppering him with love taps, and this Ivy League irritant will assail you right back and remove any sort of momentum you previously had. There are a few other techniques he can throw out, like this around the world shuffle or this neat duckin' and jukin' before tossing out a swift jab combo. But the core of Narcis is that he simply hates letting you do anything. He doesn't have Aaron Ryan's infinite combo lock or Kagaro's specials that, once you learn them, lead to huge punish windows. Every single exchange requires you to be on the top of your game, delivering as swift of a punish as possible, or you will miss your chance and get hit right back. He even knows how to dodge your punch then counterpunch, but with unnecessary swagger. Boxing emerged from Great Britain after all, and Narcis is glad to school you on what a fundamental, perfect exhibition of skill should be. Textbook jabs, hooks, and uppercuts to keep your low-class fisticuffs from ever landing, and your hopes of reaching the rest of this circuit as foggy as a London morn.
Down for the count.
But students of the game come with a glaring weakness. Toss them off their game, and they'll flounder trying to reset things back to a manageable state. While Narcis won't let you dictate the pace of a match, he very often does all of his attacks in sets of twos, making predicting his next attack after you've seen the swipe a trivial affair, and even allowing a rare counterpunch opportunity on the posh Prince. Moreover, while he's glad to punish your committal moves, he can still be rocked if he messes up his uppercut or triple punch, a jab to his gut opening up his face for some incredibly deserved retribution. And when you manage to ruin this narcissist's moneymaker, oh, you'll expose this pretty boy for the low-class bloke he really is. Just check the Cockney in his credits quote.
Cool, blimey!
Narcis loses it after being decked in the face. His entire expression, stance, demeanor, and even pattern changing to become faster, stronger, less predictable, and more aggressive. However, while he's enraged, he loses the composure he previously had to serve as your equal. Now reduced to punching wildly, he's become the exact kind of punch-out boss you know how to take down. Narcis will completely give up on guarding his face after punches whilst enraged. And that maddened mug isn't used to being decked, taking extra damage for every fist landed. Add this in with the Letterman lunkhead forgetting to use his special moves while angry and having far extended stun periods, and this is a perfect opportunity to build up your meter and lay into the guy. Narcis will snap out of it at his cornerman's urging after about 20 seconds, or if you manage to knock him down, he'll get disgusted with himself and snap out of it. But he's shown his weakness now. He's got good punches that might keep you from launching constant haymakers, but once you crack that mask of perfection, the only thing you or Narcis is going to be able to see are his flaws. Ow! Shatter this boy's nose along with his dreams. You're going to need to keep your own alive as your next foes roll out. This is the worst fight in the Punch-Out series. I don't mean to say it's the hardest. Tyson, the two guys after this, Title Defense Sandman from Wii are tougher. But this old man, this horrendous cheating goblin of a boxer, is perhaps the most unfair challenge in the entire Punch-Out series to learn. And I don't mean, oh, he makes a mockery of boxing because he beats you with a stick. Sticks or punches now, fine, whatever. He should have a boxing glove on top of it, but I'll buy it. But no boxer in the entire franchise gives a feeling of, what am I even supposed to do, than Quarlow. The martial arts master doesn't just dodge your punches, he drops it low to the floor and prepares a counter. Or worse, reads your moves and shoves you to the side just to perfectly time a follow-up just as you're regaining your composure. This disincentivizes looking for counterpunch windows, so you go back to the old faithful looking how to dodge. And Hoy is glad to make a fool of you there, too.
Pitiful amateur.
A vast majority of Hoy's moves are multi-hits with zero chance to interrupt, including his jab equivalent being essentially hitting you with a stick 3 times in a row. This melts any sort of momentum you've gathered anytime you get hit. Normally getting hit by something like the Hurricane Rush or a Macho Man exercise program would send you back this far. Hoy's doing it with his normals. Even his single hits get linked together, further obscuring when you can actually punch the guy and what anything resembling a pattern with him even is.
You cannot dodge what you cannot see!
But say you land a punch on the old man. He's so seasoned that he'll turn even his weakness into a chance to recover, swaying back and forth with each punch he receives. If you try to spam him to one side, you'll whiff and lose your punish window. And then there's his super. A teleporting string of cane strikes from either side, a combination of Dragon Chan's triple kick and Macho Man's Infinispin as he attempts to take you out with a random number of hits, fake outs included. But that's not even his ultimate attack. as if you get even further into the fight, he'll unleash the entire legacy of Kane on you. An uninterruptible 10-strike combo attack that links into itself with too many hits to dodge, both to your upper and lower body, and has 2 different variations just to screw with your sense of timing. Quarlow punishes you for attacking wildly, links his moves into each other, hits you with repeated strikes to destroy your super meter, changes up his tempo to be less predictable, recovers quickly, has a brutal knockdown move, has 2 variants to his strongest attack, uses his animations in different orders to confuse you, every single possible way there is to trip you up and keep you from moving forward in Super Punch-Out. Quarlow can weaponize. It's not that any one move of Hoy's is incredibly tricky, it's that there are so many rules to follow fighting him specifically with so many specific tells and branches that it is dizzying to learn and guarantees a loss to even the most cautious and defensive player who doesn't know what's coming. Hoy is an unfair flowchart that doubles over on itself to be an illegible mess. But the way I see it, you can either hide from it or learn from it. So go ahead and show him where he can shove that stick. Whilst Hoy has a massive bag of tricks to pull from, he has the same weakness as fellow martial artist Dragon Chan. He's very devoted to his form. Hoy will always perform a gesture with his cane to show you if he's going to be aiming high or low, and all of his cane shots outside of his jump strike can be guarded. Additionally, every single one of Hoy's techniques has some sort of follow-up. Waiting for him to commit to these after he's tried to hit you with a quicker move is the key to actually scoring damage on the geezer. This is especially true of Hoy's stronger attacks. Quarlow always follows a raw open palm strike with a backhand, and his slower single cane strike to the side is followed up with a jump kick. The backhand and jump kick never show up unless the old timers tossed out the opening hit of their combo string. Even if you get hit by the first part of this 1-2 punch, keep a steady head and dodge the finisher, and you'll be able to deal out more punishment than you took. This leaves Hoy's Leaping Assault and the Legacy of Kane's Super Reaver, and the former is just an attack that you dodge, really. You can interrupt this by hitting Hoy when he raises his cane to get an instant knockdown, but the timing window's really tight, whiffing it if he's going for a fake out isn't worth it, and in general, building up your super by beating up an old man when he's EP at the end is a little more valuable. And while the crazy cane will get you the first time you encounter it, it's got a very obvious flailing tell, Hoy has 2 different tells for the 2 variants of the move he'll pull out, and he almost always opens with the higher raised variant, by which I mean I haven't seen him do the other one first, so I'm right. If he flails his cane up first, the pattern is 6 consecutive upper body shots followed by 4 lower body. And if it's down, it's alternating 2 low, 3 high, 2 low, 3 high. He does have a follow-up after this rush, but it's easy enough to count to his 4th set of cane jabs and punish. If you can maintain super through this, man oh man, he's gonna regret it. Quarlow is perhaps the least vibes-based fight in the entire Punch-Out series. He's got a checklist of rules for everything, from how his moves link together to what animations you can punish to just hitting the guy. Quarlow is made to beat you, and repeatedly at that. Not through any sort of skill issue, but because he's a weird old man who plays by his own rules and demands that you learn them.
Should I be gentle?
But hey, you're probably smarter than me, and I beat him. So let's get Grandpa back to bed and keep this rolling. We're in extra innings now. Tyson was done in 14 fights, but you've still got 2 more to go if you want to play with superpower. The final 2 fights of Super Punch-Out pit you against Rick and Nick Bruiser, a pair of tough guys from parts unknown whose entire existence is boxing. More than anyone else, they're the Punch-Out guys, with younger brother Rick's only loss being to his big bro.
Big bro, you're so cool!
And can you imagine an existence as the lesser Punch-Out guy? Where all you're known for are these cartoon boxing videos and someone more skilled and handsome comes along, so you're only really the Punch-Out guy for like 2 months, and no matter how you evolve, you're always gonna have that blemish, so you'll never get to the top of a mountain you asked for? Give me a second.
The good news is, Rick Bruiser isn't even a third of the cheater Quarlow was. The bad news is, he doesn't need to cheat in order to murder you in seconds flat. See, instead of hitting you dozens of times in order to destroy your special meter, Rick has gone with the innovative strategy of finishing you off in about 5 punches. It won't need a special meter if you're dead. Not only are his fists bigger, stronger, and faster than anything you've seen thus far, but the man riding shotgun in the Bruiser Cruiser is tough to hit too, requiring that you actually hit him in the right places in his punish windows, or risk whiffing and eating his follow-up. Even if you land your punches, if you aren't right on the money, Rick will respond with an incredibly quick counterpunch that will ruin the advantage you had. He's even got the Aaron Ryan thing of punishing every super with proper retaliation, just without the whole gimmick of getting trapped in an endless and insatiable loop of wanting to hug you with violence. Rick is just freakishly good at regular boxing, with one simple twist. If you make a single mistake, he will destroy you. Rick's uppercuts come with a built-in option to crush your spine, as if he tosses one straight up, he can bring his elbow right back down and turn the punch into an automatic 2-hit combo. Oh, but that's got a unique animation! You can see it coming! That's great! Just don't mistake it for him elbowing the middle of the ring so hard he causes an earthquake that makes you forget how your legs work. Even if you manage to dodge this tremor, Rick follows it up with a deadly uppercut. And if you reasonably thought, oh, I don't want my skull caved in, I'll dodge and punish. Congratulations! Your quick thinking didn't matter and you're in the hospital anyway. Even if you do get that punish in, be sure it's actually on the mark. Not only is Rick able to counterpunch glancing blows, but if you're really off and he sees your fist coming, he'll catch it in his glove and break your hand. This prevents you from punching with whatever hand he shattered for 10 seconds, making some of his attacks unpunishable for a while, and reduces any momentum you had to nothing. So, basically, you're already dead. Your opponent is just better than you, and no matter what you do, the match will end in a massacre.
Grievous injury. Palpable fear.
Sorry? Did you think I meant for you? Don't be so negative! You're free to kill a man in front of hundreds of spectators, too!
Right on!
Matches with Rick are rarely close. He can dismantle you in seconds at the first sign of weakness, but if you never give him that chance, you can absolutely run away with the match. Rick's first attacks are always scripted, starting out with a 3-hit combo, then a 2-hit combo, then another 3-hit combo, but better this time. Each of those can be punished, and Rick leaves himself way more open than Narcis or Hoy did, leaving you with a full super meter nice and quick. His defensive options also leave a lot to be desired, with his counterpunch being negated by a high guard every time, and his arm breaker being countered by not giving him your fist. Even if he catches you, you can dodge away from the caught arm. Then you can get in a few free hits and avoid needing months of physical therapy. That just leaves the Earthshaker, which you can handle as long as you commit hard to a defensive option. If you do a quick dodge, you can avoid the elbow and just barely dodge the following uppercut by ducking. And if you don't feel like mocking death by kissing his scythe as it passes over your head, you can hold a long dodge before Rick's elbow hits, and his follow-up will just sail on past. Rick Bruiser is a rat race of a fight. You can build up your momentum really quickly on him. He can end your life in a few hits. Neither of you stops the other from fighting at your best, unless you like getting your arm broken. And if you beat him, odds are you're probably gonna end up with a good time on the high score table, even on your first clear. Enjoy beating up the Punch-Out guy. You've got one more around the corner before you become a legend yourself.
Next, Bruiser.
42 wins, 0 losses. The pinnacle of the sport. Nick Bruiser. Having vowed after defeating his brother to never lose the title, the champion of champions takes fighting deathly seriously, showing no emotion, no hustle, no care. Just pure, simple efficiency in destroying the combatant in front of him. Nick Bruiser is the epitome of Super Punch-Out's design philosophy. A cool-headed, immovable object made to stall every single attempt at actually beating him, bait out every hope spot that Little Mac can produce, and ruin any chance you might have at a perfect victory. Nick's punches are not telegraphed. He silently watches you and quick draws his fist like a gunslinger, instantly dishing out the absolute worst punishment he can. He possesses an instant knockdown, a shoulder tackle every bit the bull charge is superior with the shortest charge of any one-hit KO in the game. But even if that should miss, he follows up with double hooks guaranteed to catch any stragglers. He's got his brother's bone-crunching elbow drop to shatter your hand. But not only is Nick far faster on the draw, he's glad to disable both of your arms at once if you'll let him, leaving you completely and utterly defenseless in a way not seen since Masked Muscle. But worst of all, he can ruin you without even having to take you down.
Here I am offering you my precious time, and you waste it by running around.
Punches deal pitiful damage to the older Bruiser brother, meaning that you need to maximize every single punish window available. But not only is Nick not particularly generous with how many hits you can deal to him, he shares his brother's propensity to lean into his attacks, meaning that only very specific punches are actually gonna land if you manage to dodge him. And he shares Hoy's technique of switching sides when he gets hit, necessitating that you alternate punches, which is very hard to do if your fists are broken. Nick can easily achieve a timeout victory, not through trying to stall you out or avoid fighting you, but simply because you aren't strong enough to deal the damage to knock him to the mat 3 times over. But all of this, the combination of the efforts, strategies, and natural toughness of everything you've seen before, would be for naught if Nick didn't have his own final touch. For when he's ready to put you down, you hear the faint revving of the King's engine. Now fall. 12 consecutive punches. Something you've dealt with since Piston Hurricane way back in your 3rd fight, before you even had to worry about doing much more than mashing. But no matter how strong your defense, you will bleed. Bruiser's fists are so crushing, they'll deal considerable damage even through your guard. And there's no magic pixel here to save you. If your health reaches 0, chip damage will be enough to take you out. And of course, this is followed up by an uninterruptible uppercut with just enough of a delay to completely throw off your timing. This is the finisher to end all finishers. Practically guaranteed damage. And it's not even a super. Unlike the ultimate attacks of other fighters, the clock keeps ticking when Bruiser gives you a licking. These are just consecutive normal punches strong enough to rock you to your core. Nick Bruiser's entire kit is designed to make your offense as pathetic as possible, make relying on your defense too slow to be used effectively, and make every single mistake send you so far back you don't have a hope of beating him in time. If Mike Tyson was a killer looking for a knockout within the first few seconds of a match, Nick Bruiser is a weapon looking to surpass him. A wall of punishment at your slightest hesitation, who lets you play the game, lets you fight him, but takes away your options, your strength, your hope at every opportunity.
Knockout!
Who could possibly beat this guy? Glass Joe.
Couldn't even be Glass Joe.
It's been said for years that Glass Joe's one win was against Nick Bruiser in an accident so freakishly improbable it was stricken from Bruiser's record. But while I can't find any evidence of the one issue of Nintendo Power or Nintendo Magazine System no one is consistent in but always claims is the source for this fact despite me reading like 30 issues of Nintendo Power, but I'm no quitter, just wait on me. You can match Joe's virtual achievement. Anyone can be the champion.
Never back down. Never give up. Show the world why you're the best, Mac baby.
The Special Circuit Czar might have the perfect arsenal to take advantage of Super Punch-Out systems, but this is the strongest, most unstoppable Little Mac the series has ever seen from a pure offense standpoint. Once you get started, even the king can't stop a legend. Bruiser takes the fight so seriously that you can get in 2 free jabs to the face before he tosses out his first punch, barely even flinching from your assault, but that's enough chump change to get your meter running. When it's time for him to strike, Nick will go completely still, his gloves raised or lowered depending on where he's gonna punch. Dodge the moment he stops and punish him to match where he's aimed. And if you keep up well enough, you can build your super meter by the time his quick draw phase is over. While getting your fist broken obviously sucks, if you dodge out of the way of Nick's elbow, that's a guaranteed 3-hit punish for free that interrupts his flow. Sometimes it can be worth playing risky and baiting things out. The Charge and Chuck special can be counterpunch like Bald Bull's favorite before it, but if you just remember to duck after he whiffs the charge, it's no different from any other finisher with a long punish window at the end. And of course, that lethal final rush Nick's got? There's no trick to fighting it. That is crushing. But unlike other multi-hitters from Hurricane or Ryan, Nick will never feel himself an extended if he lands a hit. It's always going to be 12 punches and an uppercut unless you take a dive to the mat first. Catch your breath, block a punch or two if you need, and just dodge. Nick does speed up a little if his punches don't connect, but once you get in a steady rhythm of tapping that button, you'll find that even this boxer's best is incredibly survivable. Just make sure you remember to count to 12 since that final uppercut's a little slower than the rest. Nick Bruiser may be the culmination of all your foe's greatest skills, everything and every technique that boxing can offer. But oh, Nick, you're no Tyson. Without the ability to close out a match instantly, not requiring nearly the finger speed of his predecessor, all you need to win is know his plan and be the better boxer. Outsmart, outreact, outbox this last obstacle. And take everything from him.
Knockout!
You are finally the ultimate champion.
Right on!
Super Punch-Out is not what the NES game was. I'd call it simultaneously less demanding than its predecessor, while also being less fair to a new player on what they have to do the first time they step into a ring with a given foe. But what it is, a fast-paced exchange of learning your ins, not just dodging punches, but figuring out how you can possibly land the most of them in every exchange, and absolutely rolling your opponent when you've got a great handle on it. That's a true strength of this game that no other entry in the series can replicate quite as well. The story isn't David versus Goliath anymore. Nick Bruiser isn't the be-all end-all of boxing that he wants to be. but you are. I truly believe that Super Punch-Out develops such a sharp level of skill and intuition in its players that teaches them to be brave, to figure out when to best capitalize on openings, to not go for every possible point, but figure out the best ones, and get better every single time they play. And that's a skill set that's transferable to any number of games. And you can prove that in as many ways as you want. Topping the in-game leaderboards, finding dizzy states, clearing the special circuit lossless to get an extended ending, even beating the entire game without a loss to colorize and immortalize your final victory over the Universal Champion. No, I'm not good enough to get that, I own those losses, but you can be better. And this is still a game that others who have long since beaten it still come back to, figure out optimal combo routes for, try and solve what boxers they can KO rather than TKO, including Nick himself. This game had a 2-player debug mode discovered 28 years after its release. There is a love to be found in Super Punch-Out. A glory that captures everything Nintendo wanted the series to be, from its 1983 debut to 1994. A celebration of the thrill of the fight. And I hope that at the end of this road, you found that too. Thanks for training with me again, champ. Keep those reflexes in check. We gotta do this again sometime. You don't just know how to overcome intimidation. You feel how to design for momentum.